Hello and welcome everybody to the second to last day of this week's broadcast for the LCS Challengers League, brought to you by Turo. Also, special welcome to our new sponsor, Subway, who's joining us on the show from this point forward. And a special welcome to our guest joining us today, Get Back, on the desk for the entirety of the broadcast. Get Back, how you doing? Joining us from Maryville University, right? Is this your setup from school?
Yeah, this is my home. Like, this is me and my computer at home. This isn't our lab, but yeah,
okay.
I'm coming here from Maryville still, so excited to see the games.
Happy to get you back on the broadcast and pick your brain as we go throughout the day. We also have Desirix joining us on play-by-play for the day. How's it going, Desirix?
Feeling good, feeling good. We got the desk that Emily regrets the most, our boss, which is us, Kangas, me, Beatdown all together. So you're sure to get a lot of energy. Get back. This is going to be a little bit of a wild ride, but don't worry, just buckle in, you'll be fine.
I'm really happy we didn't prep Get Back for that at all ahead of time. Just bringing this up for the first time live. Beatdown, how's it going?
It's going good, Kangas. Really excited to be here. Really excited to cast Best of Fives. Really excited to see what kind of halftime shows you're cooking up.
Oh,
Yeah,
I got some
just
fun
a
ones
special
for you,
shout out for
especially
you.
as I've been picking Get Back's brain a little bit and hearing from him. So, with that said, we're getting into the day itself. But before we do that, I want to remind everybody a very special occasion that we have, because we are continuing on in the play of the split. All summer, you as a community have been voting for the best plays of every single week. And that means that we got a bracket to close out the summer split. We already have round one completed. Seeding was randomized. The Young Hero advanced and Perry's Penta advanced, and that means we have our semi-finals match ahead of us right now. Now, Get Back, I know that you had some thoughts on these. Have you had time to review all of them yet?
So I've seen all of these except for Perry's Penta, and I gotta say first of all, the Perry's Prevent, that play was sick, saw that live.
Okay.
And for the other one, I gotta say that I think the Beer is a Monster one definitely should win. Young, the first half of the play did well, but he stood still at the end. He was so good for a Penta there, but like, he just froze up at the end, so I have to give it to Mir, even though APA decided to hook in the tower, and he still salvaged the player and got 3 kills for his team, so.
Okay, so that's your bit of a shill. For anybody listening right now, if you're unsure, if you're undecided, and you just want to go with what Get Back is saying, you're saying you think it's going to be Mir and then Perry's Prevent, but without seeing the Penta
I haven't seen the Penta. I just think the Prevent is very good.
Okay, the Prevent was insane. Obviously, that one was, I think, my favorite play from the split so far. Get Back, do you have a favorite play before we actually get in and watch the ones we're showing today?
Oh, it was definitely that one so far. Out of all the plays I've seen this split before coming into this, it's definitely the Perry's Prevent, because of watching it live, it was such a late game. He played it like perfectly. Poppy's a sick champ as well. I thought it was so good.
Yeah, Beatdown and I were casting that.
I think this is going to be a tough one, though, because the reason why Perry's Penta got so up there is because it has voice comms on it.
Yeah, true.
And that's a big boost right there, man.
True.
It's hilarious listening to Philip and Shochi just scream their heads off, man.
The blah, 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 and they're right at the end. And then the second Penta that they have also. I mean, the comms for that team are incredible. Either way, though, it's time to vote. We're going to throw it to the first one today. We're looking at the top of that bracket, and we have Mir is a monster. So let's take a look. As the Umbral Glaive completed. Going for a very aggressive lethality build. Another Emperor's Divide onto APA.
Oh, look
This
who's
is the
here.
ultimate. Now the follow-up from UG, trying to lock down this Nautilus, but he's very tanky. Maybe Winston will be enough to turn the play. It's traded. Mid laner for jungler, but Mir is a monster! Double kill on the Graves, chasing onto Winsome with no summoner spells, and that is a triple kill to Team Liquid's jungler. All right, Get Back. Thoughts? Out of 10. Out of 10. How do you rate that one?
Out of 10, like, my honest answer, it's like a 6.5 to a 7. Like, it was a good play, but it wasn't an insane play. So the thing is that APA runs up to the tower, gets ulted in, and kind of sells a bit for his team, but that's okay. And then Spirax kind of walks up to the end and gets hit by the Q, you know. Have to give them both some lessons. 2 good friends of mine. They both sold that play a bit, but the junglers came in to save it, of course, backing them up. But no, it was just clean by me. Nothing crazy, but just in the right place. Like, really good placement, like, to be there in that moment.
Right.
And you just played it perfectly. So I thought it was a really clean play.
Maybe not impressive enough for Get Back to rate it above that 7, but let's take a look at the next one and see what he thinks of this.
Oh, Young was able to get out with a sliver of HP, and that's going to be valuable because he's actually TPing back in. This should be sussed out by EG, but Young could have a huge Emperor's Divide here.
Oh, man,
okay.
Antonio just got
Young.
eviscerated. Young, though, the hero for DSG! Double kill! Can he get the triple inside the pin? He does! He gets 3!
he dodged the Kaiser.
I mean, pretty big play. Pretty big play. An impactful play. Get back. I'm going to give it back to you here. What do you think?
Okay, I'm going to change my mind again after actually watching it. I think this is better than the Mir play. There's one thing that's really small I really liked about this play, and it was cut off a bit at the start. He TP'd behind them, and he didn't drop his soldier straight over the wall. Because I feel like a lot of people would drop their soldier on the wall and try and hit them, but that reveals your position, and he would die. I like how he held out to go. The only thing was, it felt like he got a massive hit of dopamine when he scooped all of them, and then just stood still. And like, if he just kept moving, there was a penta in there for sure. But I like the idea of it a lot.
Literally, if you just dodge the Kaiser W, I'm pretty sure that's a penta.
Yeah.
Well, a reminder for everybody to vote in Twitch chat right now which one you think is better, Mir as a monster or Young the hero. And Beatdown, the reason I think Young's play is also more impressive is because of how impactful it was. It kind of saved that play because otherwise, like, they just got wiped. He has to respawn, TP, and then get that play off. So maybe not mechanically crazy, but definitely impactful.
Yeah, it's kind of like Get Back said, you know, right place, right time. He was really smart about the Sand Soldier placement. So it's not always just about the hands. It's the decision-making, too, that makes great plays.
So, with that said, you can vote right now. While we wait for the votes to accumulate, we want to remind everybody what the teams are playing for right now, making it to that LAN Finals to play against the one team that has qualified so far in DSG Disguised. Coming in here, picking up a couple of players that otherwise would have presumably been teamless, and they're pretty happy about that. The reverse sweep, Deserix, we know how much this means to the players, especially the three going for that second title.
It feels great for our three coming for a second title. It also feels great because it's our first content creator team absolutely brutalizing the ladder, so good stuff to see. For me, hurts a little bit because it was against Cincinnati Fear, but I'm always excited. I'm always excited to see what DSG's
What is this caster bias? Get back. You're going to be the unbiased player who's competed against both teams.
Show all the bias, man. Show all the bias.
Yeah, what do you think about DSG as a team being the finalists?
So, I'm surprised DSG made it this far, but I still think they're a good team. I'm also surprised Fear made it this far. I think the whole ladder gets turned on its head. It's something I said in an interview a while ago. It's about who's picking during playoffs. I like that DSG. I like that Young's starting to play some more Azir and other things. I was worried for a while he was just going to be a Silas Akali Aurelia 3-trick who just tries to play melee. So I think it's a really good look for them that he's playing like real champs as well now. Yeah. And Fear is just the friendship team. Shochi just hits the random button and pulls up mid lane. So I like watching Fear a lot. But yeah, it was a really good series, honestly.
Our friendship's unstoppable, man.
I mean, you say that, but they got stopped.
They got stopped. Because of the reverse sweep, it felt like they were out, but DSG held together. They will be the raid boss at the Riot Games Arena Live. But that's time to now announce the play of the split winner for this round of the bracket, the semifinals round, everybody. Drum roll, please. Deserix, I know you have a drum set. Okay, there we go. I can hear that. There's the drum roll. Let's see who wins. You're voting. This is the community vote on Twitch chat for who wins play of the split. And here we go. The Young hero, baby. Not bad. So Get Back, I think maybe you swayed the people.
Could have. I don't know. Like, I think this one is just satisfying to watch. There's something really satisfying about watching that ult. So that could be it, honestly.
It's also just so impactful of the moment that it happens. Getting an insane multi-kill right in the Baron pit. Does die afterwards, but in a 1v5 scenario, clutching up feels great. So, that's it for the play of the split round there. Deserix, who do you think is going to win? Parry or Parry tomorrow in the next round?
I think there might be some
There's only one right answer,
Parry,
Eric.
So,
I think so.
I'm going for the comms Parry video. Just, it's too funny.
Yeah, Get Back. Have you heard that one? I think we might have asked you this yet.
No, that's the only one I haven't seen. I have to watch it.
I'll show it to you during this next game because you have to watch that one. It is incredible hearing them on comms themselves. But I think it's actually funny that the random CD meets parries against himself. But that means that Young is in the finals. The hero Young makes it to the play of the split finals. He will be going against one of the parry plays, whoever wins the next round here, which will happen tomorrow. And don't forget to tune into the pre-show tomorrow so that you can vote on that. And then also the pre-show for the live finals itself from the Riot Games Arena, where we'll be awarding play of the split. So with that said, let's take a look at the matches today. That's all of the boxes checked. Let's get into the action now. We have FlyQuest versus Evil Geniuses. A big match ahead of us here, and I am very excited to see who's able to take this one because it is 7th seed versus 2nd seed. A big disparity, but not as big as the last one that we just saw there, Deserix, because it was actually EGC taking out 1st seed Team Liquid to get here.
Yeah, which has proven that seeding doesn't really count. It means that Evil Geniuses have to pretty much go through 1 through 4, but this is a tough team to go against. But one that's currently going in its one of the biggest turnarounds I've seen, at least split to split, because every time they've dropped off, like Spring 22, Summer 22, last split, the core of this team, both UG and Spyrax, haven't been able to break into that top podium. And right now, they're 1 win away from getting into top 3. Right after that, they can get into finals. This might be one of the biggest takes of FlyQuest we've seen in quite some time.
Let's take a look at the team. You mentioned the core. UG and Spyrax have been playing together for quite a while. Beatdown, I want to get your thoughts on how we've seen them develop, because Deserix did say that this is the furthest that this core's made it, and they could go even further still.
Yeah, absolutely. I think UG and Spyrax have been really good this year, especially in the summer split. I mean, Spyrax, he's got such a wealth of champions that he can play, and I know Cubby has said this a lot. He's never looked bad in any meta. He's always been solid to honestly amazing, and when he gets on some of those comfort champions, he's able to do some amazing stuff. I think UG, a player who we keep giving MVP nods to split after split, is also somebody who is just continuing to grow and show that he's ready for that next level.
Beg, what are your thoughts on this team? You've competed against them, you played against a Midlander like Spyrax, and you had a feel that we don't have as broadcasters. What are your thoughts?
So I think this team's interesting. I think this team's strength is definitely them in jungle. I think there's 2 people I always think that have been massive unsung heroes of Split that deserve a lot more praise they get. And one of them's UG, and the other one's actually Meech, even though he's not playing today. But I think UG is really good. Probably, I think he's the best jungler in the league, in my opinion. And I think that he is massive core part to why this team does well. The Faisal edition did really well. Spirax is really solid. Marzu has big pop-off moments, and Winsome just feels like the team dad to me. Like, when you verse them, he's the only one, like, he's at least likely to do stupid things. Like, he's in the right spot. So, overall, I think they're actually my favorite to win the split. I think they're a really good team.
I'm happy you highlight some of those, because as we look at their gameplay itself, we can actually kind of get a feel for how they've been playing the map lately. I want to throw this one over to Beatdown. Talk to me about FlyQuest in the last series that we've seen them in.
Right, so FlyQuest is a team who we give a lot of props for their strategic diversity. Lately, it's been the Masu show, because, I mean, with some of the plays he's pulling up, it makes sense that they want to play to him. But this time, in Game 1 against Wildcard in their most recent series, was interesting to see them go back to playing to some of their other laners. Faisal getting a lot of attention there from UG. In this particular clip, too, I will point out, UG really went for some odd jungle pathing just to make sure that he could continue adding gold into Faisal's pocket, and it also had that converse effect of setting behind Zamudo. So seeing that diversity come through in playoffs, really important against the scaling EGC.
And what we don't show is the rest of this game, too, where the Olaf lead doesn't really amount to much. But I'm happy that we're not showing that one out, because it's all about where the decisions are being made early on, at least. We are seeing, that flexibility that we know FlyQuest can do. Get back, you're talking about Faisal as a player. We know that they can play to him. Often they're play to Masu. Cool that they're showing their flexibility here, though. But a reminder that they're against Evil Geniuses Challengers, who are also showing flexibility. We'll get to that in a little bit. But first, we want to highlight the fact that they have a gauntlet to run if they want to make the miracle happen. Knocked out in the first round, they have to run through the lower bracket, and these are the seeds of the teams they have to take down along the way. Deserix, it is not going to be an easy road for EGC to make that final championship run.
No, I'm going to flip that on you. I don't think it's going to be an easy road for FlyQuest to try and make it over there, because EGC, we talked about it before, round 1 of the round robin, they didn't look too good. They went, what was it, 7-11 when they had Soul. You get an improvement. You get Surdy, and suddenly they're a different beast. Their win-loss is improving. Playoffs comes. Now you get Armeo, and you're seeing that strategic diversity start to show, not just playing towards lane, but playing towards scaling. So I'm saying right now, the boogeyman is in the lower bracket, and right now they're setting their sights on FlyQuest.
I mean, every team's terrified. We've even heard players and coaches talk about this. You do not want to match up against Evil Geniuses in the lower bracket. Well, now we're at the point where every team's going to have to face off against them if they keep winning and keep showing that improvement. So let's take a look at the players that are on the roster for this EGC. You mentioned Surdy coming in halfway through summer. Armeo is also a newer addition in playoffs, as they were running that 6-man roster for LCS. Armeo and Shaden is sharing time, and Armeo is in the actual playoffs here in Challengers. Get back. I want to hear your thoughts on our mail, on the overall feel for Evil Geniuses Challengers, where you think they are right now.
So I think EG had a massive upswing towards the end of the split. I think the biggest turnaround for them was getting Surdy, and then I do think the team's actually better with Armal than Shiden, but I think that's a smaller difference in the Surdy Soul trade. But I don't know, this team is a team that whenever you looked at their rosters, even in the past, you're like, why isn't this team doing well? They're a very individually skilled team. Like, they're a team that they could even be an argument for the most individually skilled team in the league. They just seem to have issues with team play. They now seem a lot more cohesive. Their strategies seem to be more spread. They can play towards any side of the map. And I think that, honestly, my real opinion is I think these are the two strongest teams left. I think this is probably, whoever wins this is probably going to win the split.
I think I agree.
Yeah. I like that. I like that prediction. And Get Back, you also have a lot of experience playing against players like Surdy, Ryama King, all Oceanic players. So shout outs to the OS players. But with that, I mean, wow. Okay, and actually, I want to go back to that. You think that whoever wins this is winning the whole thing? Do you want to back that up with any additional like Twitter bets or something? Like maybe let one of the winning team from DSG tweet on your account if they take it?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, we could think of something, you know. We'll get code. I'll come back to it.
We'll think about it. We'll think about it because
you got game one to think on it.
He's gonna clap back now. All right, I want to take a look at something that we identified for EGC because we talked about FlyQuest, their adaptability as a team. I feel that we've seen a little bit of that from EGC as well, so I threw together this graphic. And Get Back, I want to get your thoughts on it as well because this is the draft that they had in their loss against FlyQuest Challengers in the upper bracket. This is a rematch. Reminder: FlyQuest 2-0'd them. Their drafts, in my opinion, are much more focused on the early game, and then the games got too long. They weren't able to close them out fast enough, as opposed to their round 2 lower bracket draft against TLC, focused on the scaling, and it worked out incredibly for them. What are your thoughts on this? Am I on the money or am I off base?
I think you're kind of accurate as well, and something that works really well for their bottom 2 comps is these are just comps that can sit together in a death ball and just beat the person in front of you. And I think that easy execution adds a lot, especially in playoffs where teams get nervous. Like Tristana for Ryoma is something that's really big. Like, I'm really surprised they gave it to him twice in a row. He's shown he's really good at it. Makes your team fights easy.
It was banned in both the games that FlyQuest played against them. So I mean that definitely factored in.
Yeah, I think you probably expect it to see it banned again today and see what Ryoma picks out. I think that'll be a very big part of the series, is what the mid lane matchup is going to be, because I think they've both shown champs recently that they love to spam and they're comfortable on, and if either of them get pushed off, it'll be really interesting to see what they go to next, and that could be a big part of the series.
Yeah. And as we look at the comps, they function as a death ball, but Deathstrix, when we look at the actual gameplay and how they play the map, I think it's important to highlight the fact that they don't only play to the death ball, they also can play side lanes, but it's a refreshing look that they're willing to pivot in their style as well.
What's wild is it all started off with side lane play. Once they actually did have that boost in the second round robin, they played to it to a T, and that has kind of become the identity of Evil Geniuses. Not the side lane play itself, but the ability to play and have these game plans and execute them beautifully. Look at this game right now. Low kill game that you have 21 minutes in, Team Liquid are winning it, right? Evil Geniuses realized we gotta slow it down. Kills are basically the same when we're 8 minutes later, and now we got the scaling coming online for Evil Geniuses Challengers. That is a big part of the story of what's been happening with Evil Geniuses throughout playoffs so far. They played for the side lanes, didn't work out. FlyQuest got the better scaling, so what do EG do? They take that scaling and they throw it right into the face of Team Liquid and take them down for a rematch.
That's kind of rude to take out your anger on a different team. Beatdown, I want to get your thoughts on the patience of Evil Geniuses, because when we were watching these games, that's what I felt. I felt like this was, what Get Back was saying before, no longer the 5 high-skill players playing individual games. This was teamwork, and this was patience of going for the right plays.
Yeah, not only the patience, that identity that they've developed for themselves has really worked out. It's a lot easier for you to play patient when you have these built, these patent down game plans. You know exactly what you're trying to do at every stage of the game. And Evil Geniuses, more time with Surdy, more time developing and perfecting that kind of style, playing to sides, playing for their side laners, has gotten them to this point where they have scaled since the first round of playoffs. We talk about FlyQuest showing us different sides of them. EGC, they're showing us new sides of them as they continue to grow in the lower bracket.
Get Back, I want to go back to a point that you had made before. The most important thing is who's peaking in playoffs. Yeah. Can you talk more about that? Because it feels like that can really apply to Evil Geniuses especially.
Yeah, so I said it in one of my early interviews. I had an interview in like week 2. I said that, especially in a league where 8 teams go to playoffs, nothing matters except who is peaking at the end. You saw it with Liquid, started not playing as well. You saw it with EG pulling up from 7th place. You see it with Fear. Fear and EG are definitely the biggest examples of this. Fear has gone from, even the last 2 weeks of the season, they went from a team that was like scraping the bottom to now they're working their way the whole way up, waiting in the winners finals. So I think it's about who finds their identity, who's feeling good, make sure you don't crumble when the pressure's on, and EG's doing a really good job of that.
And hitting that perfect peak at the upper bracket finals, at the finals, is so difficult to do. I imagine as a player, and I wonder if you can talk to that as well, especially with just recently going through CLOL, hard to maintain that peak form for multiple weeks, you know, multiple series, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things. It can be 100 different reasons. It could be meta. It can be how much your team gets along with each other. It can be if players are burnt out, if they've been for a long time. It's really important, and it's a good objective to set yourself at the start of the split, is not to get too stressed and too caught up with the start of the split and what happens. Just make sure you're in the right headspace. You know what works best for you when the time comes, because it's crunch time. I mean, no one remembers who you beat in week 2 2-0. No one cares. It's all about like what happens in the playoffs.
True.
They don't remember the quarterfinalists who had a banger series. They remember the finalists who won the whole thing. Often, that is how things go with fandom. So, with that said, let's see who's able to take the victory today, because we're ready for pick and ban of game number 1. I'm going to pass it over to the casters to get us in.
All right, thank you, Kangas. And now we begin FlyQuest Challengers versus Evil Geniuses Challengers. Winner gets to face off with Fear with the chance to book that ticket to Los Angeles. And also, this is going to leave us down to just one of our LCS affiliated Challenger teams, because already Team Liquid eliminated. Just leaves these two right here.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of want to echo your sentiment, Get Back, with the idea that whoever is winning this, you think is going to win the whole thing. I really think you're onto something there, especially with how good FlyQuest have been these last couple of weeks, with how EGC aren't really even a 7th seed. We've been kind of hinting at that in the early weeks. We could see a really high-level match here today, and I'm hoping I didn't caster curse it. Everyone knock on wood with me real quick, please.
We had way too many 2-0s happen in round 1 and 2,
I know.
man, so I'm knocking on wood hard.
I think something interesting here is that they banned Tristana and the red team banned away Maokai instead of trying to go for a Maokai Jason to Kai'Sa trade. So there's a couple interesting pieces to this. Zai is still up, which King has been very big into. They banned the Tristana away from him, which has been a massive pick for EG. One Nocturne. This signifies to me that they're looking to maybe do some kind of counter pick top and give Sturdy a good matchup and play the side lane to bully out whatever Faisal plays with the Nocturne.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. We don't usually see Nocturne come through early on, but I kind of agree with your assessment there. And we're seeing the hover there for Spyrax. I mean, not really looking to flex the Kai'Sa really if we see that one locked in. I mean, both these champions have been so big for FlyQuest, in these last couple of weeks, so it makes sense. And at this point, I imagine it's just what jungle are you trying to lock down for the side of UG?
Yeah, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's been a pretty interesting take so far coming out from EGC and having Armeo there, because every series they played so far, minus the first one against FlyQuest proper, they've been really opting into taking this Nocturne. Armeo likes to lean into it. You have Smoothie who can follow up with some form of engage. But speaking of engage, FlyQuest locking in that Leona.
I think that one is good, because when we saw perfect examples of how difficult it is to protect your carries against something like a Nocturne, you need Peel. Leona is a really good champ with that because of the long range engage, because of the stun on her auto attack. So I imagine Winsome's job this game is going to be trying to sit on his carries when we see Armeo try to turn the lights out.
I have a feeling that EG is going to go one of two directions. There's some pretty big Nocturne combos that have popped up recently, and even in the last few months. A classic one actually is Nocturne Kennen, which Serdi loves Kennen. He's played so much of it. Another one is Nocturne Nico. You see people do, where you just flank them from multiple angles, and it seems like they're going for more this dive heavy kind of thing with Rakan and Nocturne. It's kind of hard to dive into a Zero and Kai'Sa though, so it'll be interesting to see if they pivot or if they go completely for it. But I'd expect something like the Nico, like the Kennen on 4. If not, Ryma loves Syndra. He might just take the Syndra as the end matchup, which we saw Spirax play 3 times yesterday. But Yeah, it's kind of an interesting choice to go Nocturnes early. It's not something you really see. It allows the other team to pick a lot of disengage, and you need to. They have a plan. Like they have to have a plan if they're picking Nocturne here.
And,
100%.
As you said, it is early, but this is almost the exact comp that they ran against AoE. And in this, they rounded off with more side lane pressure that they like to go for. The Jax and the LeBlanc were the finishing picks for Evil Geniuses off of the foundation of this composition. But nope, they're going the exact way that you said, get back. They're getting that Nico in.
Yeah, so this combo is incredibly frustrating to verse because Nico sits on a flank and you just turn off the lights and Nico just starts walking and ulting towards the team and she's in flash proto belt range by the time you see her.
Oh man.
So it's really awkward to play around the flanks. You got to make sure you're in areas first because if the Nico Nocturne's in an area first, you can't enter. So it seems like they really had this planned. My guess is they were happy to play it with multiple combos then, like they left the Ahri up so they would have been happy to do Nocturne Ahri. Maybe they feel like the cannon's enough, they do that on 5, but it really feels like they've come in with a plan here. Like you never see the Nocturne 1-2.
Yeah, it's really uncommon, and we're seeing the Cassante come through for Faisal, something we've seen a lot on him, even when he was on Fear last split. It's a pretty stable top laner, really strong pick, but it does open up the cannon that you were talking about, because I mean, you talked about the Nico as part of the combo. I mean, it's a good matchup into Cassante. You have a lot of ways to gap close and get off that slicing maelstrom. I feel like that's something we could just see Surdy go for here on 5.
Surdy's a big Gwen guy too, I could see this. This works pretty well with the flanks.
A lot of magic damage.
Yeah, it works very well with the flanks. If there's space bought for Gwen at the start and she can get into the team, she's very hard to deal with. I do think they are going to have a bit of a problem though. If they don't get a good angle and draw the other team into an objective, it'll be very hard to dive into Azir, Kai'Sa, and Cassante. So this whole game will be about who's on objectives first. Yeah. If EGC can get on a dragon first, they'll pull them into a Baron. They'll have very good turn angles. If they can't do that, they're just going to get gunned down by the DPS of Azir and Kai'Sa.
I'm going to be watching for a lot of those neutrals, actually, just because of that zone control that FlyQuest have when they have to respond to the engage. Ember's Divide, like, good luck. You're out of the fight now. You also have a Leona there that's able to bodyguard for you. And if the engages don't go right for Evil Geniuses, it could be Reset City right there. Yuji can start popping off on this Viego and just turn this around because there's not that much of a front line really established for Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, it's really just one pick is what's going to start it off there for FlyQuest Challengers. And I think that's what they need to really worry about there. If they don't fall too far behind in the early game, they're not going to be very concerned about getting to objectives first, because they have ways to basically either find these leads early so that they can get to objectives first, or they can just go ahead and let them go if they're not worried about things like Soul or Baron going off.
As we head into the Rift, we bid farewell to Get Back, and now get on to our first game of the day. Again, this is a best of 5. Let us know in chat who you want to win. Will it be FlyQuest Challengers? Go ahead and type FlyC, or Evil Geniuses Challengers EGC. As we get into this, we do want to take a look at what Spyrex has to say about what he believes to be one of his more tougher opponents in the bracket.
I think it's going to be one of our toughest opponents, considering in the second round robin they've been playing pretty well, like at a much better level than compared to like the beginning of the split, and especially with the addition of Sturdy. I think the team is a lot more flexible on how they want to play the game, so it's definitely a tough opponent.
That sentiment's been echoed so many times, what Sturdy has brought to this roster beat.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's just the fact that the diversity that Spyrex is talking about right during that video. Just the fact that Sturdy as a player, someone EGC can just continue to play towards, has really opened up kind of things that they're able to do. And I mean, this game really isn't going to be that much of a difference. You have that strong lane matchup for him on the top side, and it's as Get Back set up. This comp, you want to be getting to objectives first. You do have early game tools. I mean, the Nico really spikes hard at level 6. Same with the Nocturne. The Zyra Khan, really strong in the early levels of the game in particular. Just a very powerful combo. And these are things EGC, they want to look to leverage so that they can find those advantages, so that they can pull FlyQuest to these objectives, so that Armeo can turn out the lights, Ryoma can use the Pop Blossom, and just obliterate FlyQuest in team fights.
Level 2 coming out early for Sturdy means that Faisal has to back the hell down against this Gwen. But that's what I like for Evil Geniuses, especially coming into that second round robin. It felt like they were kind of stuck into a certain strategy when they had Soul, which was just basically getting a weak side tank over up there in the top lane. Surdy, there is so much flexibility in his champion pool as to what he can bring. Especially this year, he's been much more active as a team player. Back when he was on Team Liquid first, that was one of the things he brought up, that he wanted to lift up the rest of the group. But now look at this. Take that away for a moment because Yuji is up here onto Surdy. Surdy doesn't have flash, opted into the ghost teleport. Yuji walking up, and there's not many directions that poor Surdy can go. It's going to be an easy first blood for Yuji and Faisal, costing the flash on top of it. But wait,
oh my God,
wait, no, he actually steps away, Surdy. Yeah, this is a good reason. This is a good time to segue it, man. He's that good. He's brought so much success to Evil Geniuses. Almost like
huge.
that. Baby.
Dude, the fact that he got 2 flashes out of Faisal and Yuji, and he lived. All it cost him was his ghost. So he's just going to go ahead and teleport back, and Yuji used all that time. He hasn't finished clearing his top camps, but look who has. It's Armeo, so he wants to go for this invade. He wants to see if he could potentially pressure, but he's just going to go ahead and settle for that Scuttle Crab. Wouldn't be surprised to see him recall and actually just rush towards that bottom side. I don't see why Surdy is going to have any trouble getting this top lane in, and there is a real opportunity for Armeo to double crab and get a significant lead over Yuji.
And Armeo is one of the smarter players in the league as the focus goes down to bot lane. Masu, first blood gets picked off. Smoothie, a great knockup right there. Evil Geniuses, first 2 plays going in their favor.
Right, it's just all EG in this early game. This is what we talked about with that Zyra Khan, wanting to get these advantages, and that's going to make it easier for, what did I say, Armeo to go ahead, get his respawn camps, get that bottom Scuttle Crab, and you can just see the lead he's going to have on Yuji. He's already spent his gold. He's going to get back on the map. And let's look at this replay again. I mean, Masu, he thought he dodged. Oh, no, he didn't cleanse in time. Yeah. That's what it was.
And King, great spot, great positioning with the feathers, but Smoothie to follow up that chain of CC. You can't underestimate a Zyra Khan lane. It can really catch you off guard.
Right, and even though you saw the kill go to Smoothie, it is still that extra gold into King's pocket, and it's still that bot lane advantage. You can see they have a better buy coming back on the map. There's that opportunity for Evil Geniuses to start stacking dragons early. One way to pull FlyQuest into you is if you're threatening a soul, so first dragon would be a good start.
Of course, the fact that FlyQuest have taken the double teleport, that's another thing that's going to play a little bit more to Armeo's favor if Evil Geniuses can be the one controlling the map. Because the moment you put down the paranoia, you don't know what's going on, you don't have access to those wards anymore, it's hard to get a teleport play going. So Evil Geniuses, they want to be on the front foot for a lot of these. But right now, they are going to concede the first dragon of the game over to FlyQuest.
I mean, Armeo just showed topside. That's an easy green light for FlyQuest. So one objective in the early game, some extra stats from that Infernal Drake. And this is a good start for them. Even though they didn't successfully get that kill top, even though they did lose a kill bottom, being able to stack objectives like the Dragon is pretty good for them because they're going to feel less pressure to get pulled into these neutral fights.
Zenith Blade comes out. Smoothie has to back off. Winsome trying to play a little bit more on the aggro side, but unable to land any damage, at least more on the true end of it. Take a look at the EXP over on your left-hand side. It's Ryomu who's currently leading the flock. Does have that Pop Blossom now. And we know how dangerous that Get Back was mentioning earlier, the Pop Blossom plus Nocturne combo.
Right. Nico was nerfed a little bit, so you do see part of the channel when she's camouflaged instead of all of it, but it's still it's really hard. You have less than a second to react onto what is essentially a knockup, what is essentially an AoE Vi ultimate. So this champion, still very dangerous in team fights. And we're seeing EGC actually continue playing more towards that top side. And again, Surdy being that new addition, someone they know they can play for, and they have Faisal's flash.
Yeah, no flash on Faisal. He's going to get feared up by the tethers, and it's another kill coming out. The General Armeo early game pathing gets early game kills.
Yeah, that's really good timing. They know Faisal's flash isn't up just yet, so they take advantage of that while Armeo's on the top side and is able to secure a kill for this Nocturne. Really nicely done.
Beautifully done so far by Evil Geniuses. This is some of the changes you were expecting out of EG the moment you heard that Armeo was going to be part of this roster. Because Shaden, very gifted when it comes to mechanical play with his hands, when it comes to fighting. Armeo is much more gifted when it comes to the map play and understanding where he needs to be to support his team.
Right, and it just, you've heard people like over on the TL camp, the EG camp, having a player like Ryoma, he gets those compliments where it's like it's having another coach on the team. So very intelligent and just so knowledgeable about the game. And just these kinds of things he offers on top of just being like a really good player. And things that I want to particularly stress, even though we have the switch up for Armeo and Shaden, who's playing in LCS playoffs right now for EG. I mean, Armeo's definitely an LCS level jungler. Like, he is a great player and someone to keep your eyes on. And I agree with Getback that he is better for this team than Shaden. I think he's a big part of the continued improvement we've seen from this roster.
I think it's something you could definitely argue, but I don't think it's a bad argument to make at all, because there's so many superstar players on this team. You need someone to be a shot caller. You need someone to be a playmaker to set the rest up. Well, for now, FlyQuest are going to look to set themselves up a Rift Herald to get control over the topside river. We'll secure that for UG. Here comes Ryoma. Pop Blossom able to find one on the knockup. Flash comes out from Winsome. Paranoia to follow through. Fear Tethers. No flash now available for Winsome. As it goes down with that Q, Ryoma will get the kill, and it's 3-0 early for Evil Geniuses.
And that's the combo Getback was highlighting. So it's just so much value when you turn off the lights. Ryoma invested the flash, but it is still a worthy kill. And bot side, we're seeing Masu reap the reward for stopping King's back. He gets another wave in, he gets a turret plate, and he pretty much nullifies whatever King and Smoothie were able to do during that level 1. I want to say, even though Evil Geniuses are up 1,000 gold right now, for FlyQuest, I'm not really concerned yet. We need to see more from them, and we need to see them get to a point where they have a lead big enough so that they can be able to get first setup. They would be able to flush Yuji out of his own jungle and make it harder for FlyQuest to face check. That's the thing with EGC's comp. You don't want to face check them, but if you don't have to, you're kind of chilling.
I mean, FlyQuest are somewhat ahead, at least in the itemization for Masu in particular, who does have that static shiv. So we'll get a little bit more pressing power, a little bit more pushing power into that bot lane before King inevitably does get that Reef call, and that starts to switch up once again. Now, Evil Geniuses, they are getting some presence over the river. It's still a minute until that Mountain Dragon does spawn. If Evil Geniuses want to start pushing for that. Of course, they don't want to end up in a situation where it's FlyQuest with the Dragon Soul, because then they might be engaging into FlyQuest. And you already heard that from Get Back. You want to be the first one with your foot in position.
It's going to be tough, though. Yuji has that Rift Herald. You can see that attention he's putting in the mid lane. 30 seconds to the Drake. It's going to be really easy for him to just drop this one, get some plates in, but instead he is going to hover. Armeo's ultimate might be on time for the Dragon, but that's the thing to look for again, that Nico Nocturne combo. If they can actually get that set up, that is how EGC can go for this objective. But they basically exceeded all pressure towards it. They're really not in a position to fight it out. And with Smoothie on the roam, King, he can't really push for this bottom prio. He has to hang back and wait for the wave to come to him.
Still gonna spot out some of the members of FlyQuest as he hides in that brush. Yet to be engaged on. They don't know he's right there, as the sweeper from Armeo
Now they know.
will take away that ward. Now they'll have sight on Smoothie. Dragon under attack, King on the opposite side. It does look like Evil Geniuses will just concede this over and give the second Drake of the game and a possible stacking win condition over to FlyQuest Challengers.
And they have so much information. There's really no way EG can get a good engage. And going for it would mean EG throws away what gold lead that they have. And I, breathe that sigh of relief because it is a Chemtech Soul to play for. But still, Evil Geniuses, looking for them to be able to do a little bit more, push the pace a little bit. We talk about this team being able to play for their side laners, set up people like Ryoma and Surdy for success. Really the most successful team in our league when it comes to playing 3 lanes. And it just gets easier if you have the Nocturne. But it is going to be hard because when we see that Kai'Sa get to 2-3 items where she is a nightmare, when we see a Azir get there, it is going to be very dangerous for EG.
Armeo forced to burn his flash to get away from Yuji, who catches him out on the river, had Spyrax collapsing on him at the same exact time. And speaking of, Spyrax will become more and more terrifying as this game goes on. There's going to be a lot of scaling in the favor of FlyQuest that Evil Geniuses, as you're saying, you got to press the issue, you got to continue the momentum and make sure you're getting a good, strong lead, which doesn't exactly play to the Evil Geniuses we've seen lately. As we know, that Team Liquid game, it was very slow around the 30-minute mark for both games, you had somewhere on 7 to 8 kills. It was very controlled games from Evil Geniuses, but they can't afford to delay and go for the long con this time.
Right, and this is a game where like the game plan, very clear. I mean, we highlighted it in the draft. That early pick on the Nocturne, especially on red side, something you see a little later on when you know they don't have as much peel, so it's easier for you to get on carries. But this time around, they had it early. They wanted the Nico Nocturne combo, and this is something that they still believe in. Keep in mind, they still have item spikes to play for. Armeo has hit the Stride Breaker for Ryoma. It is that Rocket Belt. Once he gets that extra pen, the health, all of it is going to equal a lot more damage, and it's when they're really going to be looking to fight. So this next Drake is where I'm expecting EG to put a lot of their attention and pressure so that they can set up that scenario we were talking about for them, where FlyQuest has to walk into them.
We're going to be looking for item breakpoints within the next 3 minutes for that objective you were just talking about. And Yuji did just finish his Trinity Force, so a nice pickup for Yuji to start getting that damage in. Look for the resets for FlyQuest to take some of these fights. Again, Evil Geniuses don't have that much of a front line to fight for, but Yuji wants a kill before the dragon even spawns.
Oh, wow.
Over the wall, Yuji still takes the kill, and FlyQuest are on the board.
I'll tell you what, Faisal and Yuji, they both flashed again, but this time they were able to secure the kill. Much needed gold on to this Viego. These picks, being able to find these angles, are so good for FlyQuest as they start to narrow this gold lead as they deny gold from Surdy, who doesn't have the teleport, by the way. So getting gold onto the champions like the Viego and things like that, it's going to make it easier for that first kill we talked about to come through. Remember, you have carries, but you want this Viego to reset. That's the big thing.
Here we go, Paranoia out onto Faisal. Able to get the tethers through, follows through the fear, knocks him the wrong way, and with the knockup going awry, it doesn't really matter. The Duskbrainer will bring Faisal death.
Oh man, he had some fancy footwork there, but wasn't able to make it happen, and I like what they're actually doing here. You could tell they called this in advance with the lane swap that they have. King is now topside, no teleport for Faisal, who is off for 20 seconds. There's this opportunity for him to just pick up some turret damage, and it's, as you said, get set up for this Rift Herald as well. I mean, no one is going to be anywhere near this turret as well. There's a world where King is just going to be able to pick this one up fully, and that's some nice gold into the Zaya's pocket.
Yeah, but the thing that is a little bit more on the grim side is the fact that it gives FlyQuest a lot of alone time with this bottom quadrant, with this bottom river, where they can set up vision and be the first ones to position for this dragon that's going to be spawning quite soon. As we know, it does work in the favor of the team who's able to get the first setup to be able to take the fight.
And of course, King didn't get the first brick, which is a little feels bad, but again, that solo turret gold for the Zaya. Something EG are pretty happy about overall. I think they're okay with ceding control over this bottom river, this third Drake. Not something they may be in the best position to fight for, but they have reached those one item spikes we highlighted, Eric, and they still have the Herald to play for. So of course, we've seen it all the time. You drop second Herald mid, you get yourself that setup for the dragon. We're gonna see if that's what Evil Geniuses actually wants to go for.
Now, right now I'm watching the pathing of Armeo. Yeah, he is going to head mid-side right now.
Oh, King's looking juicy. He knows.
Oh, yeah. The control word right there, King. We'll be able to walk right back. You got to be very, very careful. This would be a bad time to get caught off. FlyQuest would be at Dragon Soul Point, and they want to ensure that is going to become a reality as they teleport into the mid wave. Armeo instantly putting down the Rift Herald, and it's forcing FlyQuest to respond.
Oh, they're actually looking. That's the cleanse out of King here with the Solar Flare. It does mean he is going to be a little more vulnerable. Keep an eye on Ryoma. In the brush, currently looks like a minion really isn't going to find the angle because nobody's going to be walking top. Surely they know that that one is him.
Oh, here we go. On the flank is Ryoma. Uses the Paranoia. They're engaging onto the Leona, and King will take the kill onto Winsome. Down a man's going to be FlyQuest. They're still going to try and position forward, leading with Spyrax. Yuji looking for the flank. Dragon now going to be pulled 4 versus 5, looking for the stand. FlyQuest.
The combo's gone. You actually feel really confident walking up as FlyQuest. You still have all your carries. You have a lot of ults to play for. Keep an eye on Spyrax. He could go in for a big ult.
King still has his Featherstorm, though, so it's going to be hard to get onto this backline, and FlyQuest still looking for the engagement. Faisal goes deep in the wrong direction, and Surdy will claim that kill. FlyQuest call off the play, and the dragon belongs to EGC.
Huge. 2 kills, and they stall the Drake stacking. Exactly what Evil Geniuses needed to do here. And you can see it. FlyQuest, they're beelining topside, trying to see what they'll be able to take away in response, but it isn't going to be much. Very positive trade coming through for EG.
I love that out of EG because they used the Rift Herald. Even though it didn't crash, it allowed Evil Geniuses to get into the river and set up this pinch.
Yeah, and that's it. Again, the flash rocket belt from Ryoma. He covers so much distance so quickly, and even though you have all your carries, you are still lacking that engage. So FlyQuest, they're trying to see what they can get here, see if the Cassante Q3 can do something and pull someone in, but Spyrax losing all his health means that he can't actually do anything. He can't actually put down that Azir damage, and they just end up giving another kill.
And that is that controlled play that we've been seeing out of Evil Geniuses since they've gotten to playoffs. It wasn't just challenging to stop the Dragon Soul point. It was an active setup. It was an active plan, pinching in with that Nocturne and the Nico. And now Evil Geniuses still in the driver's seat. It's only a 2K lead. They got to keep more going if they want to take this game. But so far, so good for EGC.
Not bad at all. Things slowing down now. You got to imagine Armeo mostly going to be sticking to Ryoma's side now as we exit the laning phase, just because of how powerful that combo has been the last couple of times they've gone for it here. And it just means that as long as they continue to focus that attention bot side, there's just another world where they are able to continue picking up picks, getting kills to set them up for these objectives. And I mean, looking for a side lane play now onto Spyrax would do some good too.
Spyrax has not gone down. He's been CSing quite well. Just a little bit in the lead right now is Ryoma, but now with item going to be completed, still walking down over to the mid lane. It's FlyQuest putting their attention bot lane, however, as they want a piece of Sturdy. Teleport's coming through. Paranoia goes down, and there's not much to be seen right now for FlyQuest as Armeo finds his mark onto Faisal. Blast plant into the wrong direction, and Evil Geniuses keep claiming kills, baby.
Dude, I really like that Armeo, he held on to that Paranoia till the last moment, till he had an easy target, and it was Faisal who shedded most of his bonus resistances. Easy takedown and a great response here. That was one of FlyQuest's few options, but the fact that Armeo can join from several screens away makes these side lane plays so hard to make. And it's EG, even though the gold lead has narrowed a little bit, they're picking up gold onto this Nocturne. They're picking up gold in terms of assists over to Surdy, Ryoma, all these people who are looking to do some serious damage.
But there is the issue that Evil Geniuses have to deal with. Spyrax and Masu are still getting gold. They're CSing well. They've been a part of these a lot of tower plates, as well as towers going down. Masu might just find another in the mid lane on top of it, and there you go. Even more gold for the carries of FlyQuest.
Still, the Wombo combo from EG is so good, and that's what we've been seeing here. So, Eric, I think the thing that we got to keep an eye on is it's a really simple question for Evil Geniuses comp. It's that, what does that big burst get them? Does it get them a carry? Does it get them a kill? Yes, then they look really good in team fights. But if we see the Paranoia into the Pop Blossom and nobody dies, that's a problem. Because without that, then you're going to get whittled down by that gold that Spyrax and Masu have that you pointed out.
It's very ultimate dependent for Evil Geniuses. You're pretty much looking for that Wombo that you were just mentioning. But of course, the Grand Entrance coming out from Smoothie are going to play a big part, really setting up these fights and keep them going for Evil Geniuses' favor. FlyQuest, you don't want to fight on Evil Geniuses' terms, but this is the problem right now. It's Evil Geniuses who are dictating the state of the map. Where the turret will go down, it's just going to be the Azir passive over in the top side as Evil Geniuses continue the move.
You can see the pressure they have top side as well. This is that situation where as long as they maintain it, they're going to be pretty close to a point where they can just go ahead and start the Baron. And if they go and do that, that's that situation that we've been highlighting. You force FlyQuest to walk onto you, and you go for the immediate turn and burn. That's not the play they want to make right now, but it's something to keep an eye on these next couple of minutes. I want to point out, too, EGC, very committed to keeping a lot of their members topside. Surdy actually dropped a lot of gold and XP in that big wave that was stacking bottom side. Really important for them to have that 5-man kind of death squad rolling together so they can keep control over that side of the map.
20 seconds before Dragon does come up. You got some deep control wards into their own jungle coming out from EGC, but that vision line needs to start expanding forward. Again, FlyQuest have great scaling. They can play around that, but they might go for something sneaky right here. Are they going to go for it? No, Spyrax just taking the
no.
ward. Okay. I was getting curious right there because technically, in Azir and Kaisa can DPS Baron pretty
disgustingly
damn
fast. The thing is there, you go for it if there wasn't a pink ward. And so he's going to teleport, will still be mid immediately, but it actually gives FlyQuest first move. Remember, it's important for FlyQuest to get to objectives first. EGC, they got to do a little legwork to be able to get that combo off, and it's probably going to be the fight after if they look for anything at all.
Might be looking for Yuji instead. Just going to let that go aside. 3 dragons now picked up for FlyQuest, 1 away from getting over to Dragon Soul. Evil Genius is playing it on the safe side. When you don't have vision coming into that river, well, you're basically Nocturnal to yourself at that point. So, yeah, that's a struggle right there. You kind of know how Cubby feels whenever Rafa just decides to randomly walk in his room and flip the switch.
It's not just cause. Oh, okay, sorry. I thought you were talking about another thing Rafa does. Never mind. Exactly.
He's got a whole list of crimes, beat. Is that what's going on?
If you've ever played Summoner's Rift with him, you know. But the point is, what we're really here to talk about, Eric, is the fact that Spyrax and Monster, they've hit that 2-item point. That's the big thing you look at for these champions. Of course, third for Kaisa is also exceptionally good, whatever mythic he decides to go. This is the point where FlyQuest are pretty strong on the map, and that's why you've seen they've had a pretty easy time for the most part stacking these Drakes, getting themselves to that Chemtech Soul. And I'm going to say something that might be controversial. Chemtech Soul might actually be pretty good for FlyQuest this game. I know. But enough about that. EGC, they're going to try and pull the Baron.
Yeah, they want the Baron. Don't care about any Dragon Souls, and FlyQuest are the ones who are going to have to respond.
They can play the turn.
Yuji is coming around the corner right now. 4K health remains. Yuji's going to go for it. Out comes the Paranoia, and it forces a terrible situation for Yuji. He can't spawn it. Paw Blossom comes out. It's going to land onto 2. Gets the knock-up as Amber's divide. Not really going to divide much right here. Evil Geniuses, they're a 5-stack. They're a death ball, and they're cleaving away at FlyQuest. Now looking for Spyrax. 30 sets his sights right onto him. The crosshair looking for the headshot a little bit off the top. The tower right there will disallow it, but Evil Geniuses now onto Faisal, going forward. King and Smoothie can't grab anything else, but EG, they make FlyQuest dance to their tune. They take 2, as well as the Baron.
And this is what we were looking for. Start the Baron, force FlyQuest to move into you, and it worked out perfectly for them there. Ryoma got the angle, EGC got the Turo Baron buff, and we're gonna see exactly how it happened. I mean, keep an eye on Ryoma again. They managed to get the Baron so low. Winsome blew 1 big teamfight ultimate, so this is the go button. Armeo turns off the lights, he holds it until they take the Baron, and Ryoma is so very patient for when he uses that Pop Blossom. It's the perfect setup to break the fight up, and you're actually limiting the DPS a short range carry like Kaisa can do.
And you could see how much frustration was on Yuji right there, just from the way he walked. He was going for the back end of the pit to go over to try and get the steal. Paranoia says no vision whatsoever. If you're going to jump over that pit, you have to commit with your chest, boy, and you're going to go down if you pick the wrong time. Evil Geniuses, they're able to just take the team fight outright because Yuji doesn't take that gamble, gets squashed nonetheless, and right now with the 4.4K lead, now pushing into the towers of FlyQuest, Evil Geniuses are in control.
And this is another actually moment where the Chemtech Soul, being the soul that they've rolled in this game, is an interesting one, because I think it's still good for FlyQuest when you're dealing with a lot of burst. That damage reduction is very useful, but the Rift is interesting. Those empowered scrying orbs, making it so that you have an easy time clearing out vision on your own side, is actually kind of unlucky for Evil Genius Challengers, because they're a comp that's trying to darken the map with their own vision. They're a kind of comp that wants you to face check them with limited information. So FlyQuest, they kind of got lucky with this one. We're going to see if that actually ends up mattering, because EGC, they have the whole team here.
They might have got lucky with the Dragons, but they're not getting lucky with these fights.
No.
Only 1 kill to their name as Evil Genius is popping the Paranoia as a warning shot. And FlyQuest will give respects. Now recall coming up for EGC because the Dragon spawns in a minute.
It's roughly $3,000 gold Baron play from Evil Genius Challengers. Yeah, I mean, they're doing amazing so far. Ever since they managed to hold the Baron and pick up so much gold off the back half of it. And we're seeing examples again. Now, they're the ones at the top of the gold charts. And this is basically the comfort zone for them with this draft. They need to keep this going, of course, because we're going to get to a point where Masu, very powerful, very dangerous. The more items on Azir, the more damage, of course, he's going to be able to do, and the more of a threat he is. So Evil Genius Challengers not necessarily out of the woods yet, but picking up this Drake and setting up for a play into that next Baron is what they're looking to do.
It's just kind of surprising how slow Evil Geniuses are able to take these games. It's very methodical. It's not from indecision or anything like that. It's basically bending the will of FlyQuest. When it comes to a lot of EG games, they have slowed them down quite a bit. They don't die that often in games. They're kind of middle of the pack when it comes to kill per game. Now look at this, Surdy. Have to burn the ghost to get away from Faisal. And you can absolutely see why. It's just all about being calculated in your plays, and so far, gonna deny the Dragon Soul out with the next calculation.
And how good has Surdy been at just denying most of the plays that FlyQuest have gone for? They've tried several times to make a play on him, whether it was in lane, inside lane, and he's just been drawing.
Only one word, that was
exactly, and it cost them flashes to make it happen. He's been doing a really good job of absorbing pressure this game, and it just means that there was no response for FlyQuest to the Dragon. Not only that, EGC, they pick up the tier 2 as well because they had the wave in, and FlyQuest were too late to answer. That's another chunk of change into this Evil Genius Challengers roster's pocket. And this is why we highlighted Surdy. This is why we praised him.
Oh no, King's caught out. The flash forward, they're still looking to get onto him. Over the wall comes Spyrax, wants to change that. Featherstorm comes through. Now Ryoma flanks in with the Bob Blossom and sends FlyQuest to the skies. Winsome looking to hold the line, has about 300 health remaining. King will back off Faisal on the opposite end, sets his sights onto Surdy and brings the Hurdy right onto him for a shutdown. FlyQuest fight back.
I will say, I was about to say, I'm surprised nobody died with so many ultimates exchanged, but they finally pick up that shutdown onto Surdy. So he does fall. There's still that opening now for FlyQuest to go ahead and set up vision at the Baron. And this is just the catch out there. You cancel King's recall, you got to throw everything in the kitchen sink at this Xayah. But you can see how in and out UG goes in. He comes out. Same with Spyrax. And this is that turn and burn that is so dangerous. What really mattered here for FlyQuest is that everyone lived to tell the tale, as we highlight, is so important with dealing with the combo here from EG. And once the CC came through, it's easy for Masu to come in with the ultimate.
Only shame with that was the kill didn't go to Masu because that was a shutdown. Big chunk of gold coming in. Faisal will still use that to be a bit of a devastating front line for FlyQuest. Does have that Abyssal Mask when you have a lot of AP damage already on your team. Definitely going to work well. Now setting up over around this Dragon side is going to be FlyQuest Challengers. Baron side, mind you, is that is the one that's spawning right now. Control the mid wave over to FlyQuest.
So this is going to be a tough one for FlyQuest. Even though they got a good step with that shutdown, look at EG's inventory. 3 stopwatches. So not only can they get in there, they're going to be able to buy a lot of time, dodge out on a lot of key damage and abilities here. So Evil Geniuses still very much in the driver's seat there, even though Surdy dying gave FlyQuest that little bit of a reprieve to set up their vision. They're doing their best to clear it out and make it so that the Baron part of the map is dark. We're going to see if FlyQuest actually want to try and go for a bit of a YOLO Baron themselves.
I think right now you're waiting for the Dragon to spawn more than anything else to try and force a situation out of EGC, but as you said, apparently not. Already starting up the Dragon. Ryoma's on the opposite side, and that Pop Blossom is oh so deadly. Here we go, Paranoia coming out. Ryoma taking the long way in. Armeo hops forward. Ryoma going to be spotted out, and they stay as a group. Ultimate's down for EGC, beat.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big one. Now you feel really confident about starting this Baron again, and it's not going to be as easy for EGC to jump in on top of you. Ryoma is around the backside, but they don't want to actually force this one. I think they're looking to just poke down. They want something here, because if Armeo doesn't have that ult, that's such a huge window for FlyQuest to take advantage of.
FlyQuest don't have positioning. They're just going to concede it right out. They see EG walking away. They'll fight for that vision once again. Taking it as well as taking the mid wave in the process.
Yeah, I think they're setting up to start it again. They want the teleport out of Ryoma. He's going to teleport to the mid lane. They have the information. So this time around, no ult on Armeo. He doesn't have the big engage. This fight might be looking good for FlyQuest.
Yeah, but multiple angles now coming from Evil Genius's challengers if they want to find an engage. FlyQuest need to commit to only one flank, and they're kind of getting cornered right now. Tethers come out. Here comes Smoothie looking for the knockup. Able to charm 3. Emperor's Divide trying to stop Evil Geniuses from their deadly engage, but they'll chase forward and find the damage true. Winsome goes down. Surdy on the opposite end. Killer Instinct can go right on to Surdy, but Surdy is still alive, and he's chopping away. Ryoma goes on a killing spree as pulled in from the all-out. A shutdown found by Spyrax. 2-for-1 exchange, but it's Evil Geniuses who trade up.
And they can go and start the Baron. No Masu, no Winsome. It's going to be easy for them to go and set it up. FlyQuest, though, they've got to respond. But either way, EGC, they found a fight even while Armeo's ultimate was down. And we're seeing their ways of being able to do so and how much of a benefit it is for them. Some people still have stopwatch and stasis to play with, Armeo and Ryoma specifically, and it just means that EGC still overwhelmingly favored in this next fight.
And I can't wait till we see the replay on that because it was so many different angles that Evil Geniuses took. And it forced FlyQuest in a position where they didn't know where they wanted to engage. They didn't know who they wanted to engage on, got bundled up. Emperor's Divide comes out a little bit too late. And now Evil Geniuses don't even have to worry about the threat of the Dragon Soul. King's able to secure that. Positioning is going to be Baron side.
Right, and that's what really matters here. And nobody's playing for the Soul. Both teams are at Soul Point at the moment, and it's just this dance. Who's going to be able to secure the Baron? Even though Evil Geniuses won the fight, they weren't able to get it, but this could be the angle.
Oh, here we go. Paranoia comes in. Gonna get the fear tether through. It's able to find. Going for Spyrax. He's down. A rampage. It's a trade. Spyrax for Surdy. Winsome going low. Zenith Blades to go in, but there's 4 members of Evil Geniuses, and they got a lot of damage, and they bring it in. The feathers cutting the necks and taking the heads of FlyQuest. The chase onto Masu. He's not gonna escape the grasp of the Evil Geniuses as over the wall Ryoma goes unstoppable, and it's 4-0 EGC!
And now they're going to be able to go for the Baron, Eric. They played the engage so well, and they continue to take advantage of that gold lead they have. And King is on 4 items right now. And it means this Baron is going to melt. It means Evil Geniuses, they have everything they need to close the game.
Taking another look at this trade right here. I mean, you got Surdy at the very, very start of it, but it felt like everyone else in FlyQuest didn't know where to focus up after Surdy went down.
Yeah, and again, it's just breaking up the fight as well as EG has done pretty much this entire game. Eric has been so big here. The fact is, they haven't been able to get on King in any of these fights. His health is always staying pretty much full, and that's because, or that means he's able to keep on putting out this insane amount of damage. And with no true tank on the side of FlyQuest, it's really easy for them to fall to pieces.
A little bit of a trophy to be collected. Actually just showing you the weight in gold that Masu just put into the bank accounts as the Turo Baron buff now going to be secured by Evil Geniuses Challengers. Strongly in control of this game right now. 8.7k lead, 35 minutes into this. Not allowing FlyQuest to even have the time of day to scale up and take these fights because you can't even 5v5 them on an equal front. Evil Geniuses flanking the daylights out of FlyQuest.
Oh, I think they want to make a play on Spyrax. The pings are coming through. Yeah, he's gone.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. The timing was good, but the flash available for Armeo means I'm sorry. You're not getting away from this one. Winsome joins the fray, but it's already too late. Spyrax is dead.
Yeah, we'll say Surdy, he popped the elixir just before that play happened. They could be looking to close it out. They're threatening the mid and top tier 3 turrets, and there isn't the most amount of wave clear with this Baron buff. You can see it, EG are 10k up. They're going to look for the angle. If Ryoma has an ultimate, he's just going to take it.
Evil Geniuses already starting off by not being phased by getting kicked into the lower bracket. Instead, they're like Saiyans, man. The moment they lose, they only get stronger, and a Pop Blossom to delete 3 right off the map. Evil Geniuses come out the fence swinging.
And we saw more of that patient style from Evil Geniuses. They got a small lead, they didn't push their luck, and they picked their timers, Deserex, and it got them an insurmountable gold lead, and it's gotten them the lead in this series.
Calculated. That's the word I would use. I think it's the best word that describes a lot of the plays that we're seeing out of Evil Geniuses. From the early game and the selection coming out of Armeo, even Surdy getting away from some of the plays of FlyQuest, to the late game, in this deadly duo of Nocturne and Nico, and the positioning, the flanks that Evil Geniuses were able to take even when the Nocturne ultimate was down.
Yeah, they are definitely not getting that one again. You got to imagine FlyQuest are going back to the drawing board and like, yo, that Nico champion, nerfed? Maybe we ban anyway, you know, just maybe we don't want to let that combo go through because it was really strong.
Well, we'll see if they ever do get that Nico again because it's a best of 5. We got more games to cast, Beat. We're going to take a moment to throw it over to short break. When we return, we'll have Kangas and Get Back on the opposite side with the Rally Cry halftime show.
The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car sharing marketplace. Find your drive.